What's up, guys? Matthew, your favorite vlog guy, and today I'm bringing out a video. Today I'm bringing you a commentated Wi-Fi battle. This is against the subscriber Chris, or Sky is his in-game name, just because he is a flying gym leader, which is pretty epic. He's bringing an RU team because he asked me before the battle, do I bring RU or UU? I said UU just because my team is going to be UU. It's actually mixed. I'm sorry about that. Because I want to use the new MegaSableyeDebt team that you're seeing on the screen. So I have Overbite, Bejeweled, Overbite the Crobat, Bejeweled the Sableye, Google Chrome, the Porygon Z. I couldn't think of a witty nickname for Empoleon, so it was just Empoleon. Man-Bat the Gligar, and Magneton, just because I couldn't find a name for it. And he's bringing Gallade, Slowking, Weezing, Sharpedo, X-Cloud, and Clawitzer. So it is an RU team with the NU poke that is Weezing, but it still does good work in any tier just because of how wally it is. So I actually lead off with my the fastest poke on my team. Well, second fastest because Porygon Z is scarfed. But I do lead off with my Crobat, and I can get off a U-turn, and it does some nice damage. I actually anticipated to switch out into Weezing, so yeah, I did overpredict there. I go out into my Empoleon, so I can take whatever hit. I know he's not gonna go for Aura Sphere. I know he's not, because that's too big of a prediction to actually make. Because I actually 4 times resist that with Crobat, so I go back out into my Crobat just because I knew he wanted to go for Aura Sphere this time, and I know I could take the hit. So yeah, let's see this. This is a 4 times resisted hit, and it still does a lot more than I expected. Like, it really did a lot more than I expected. I thought I was going to do like 2 damage. But yeah, again, I knew he was going to switch out into his Weezing. With this time, I went for the Brave Bird, just because I didn't want that Clawitzer around. His Weezing switch was anticipated, but going for U-turn there, and him going for another Water Pulse wasn't going to be a good idea. So yeah, I'm forced to switch out. I don't want to get Will-O-Wisp. I don't want to get burned, basically. And I go back out into my Empoleon. You've been seeing a lot of Empoleon on the channel just recently. Is because I finally got to use it. I haven't really made... before, I didn't have a dual wall to use. Like, this is especially defensive, and I did have a defensive thing to go great with it. But I finally found out Rotom Heat, and I think, what was it? What was it again? I know Rotom Heat goes well with it, and I actually predicted him to switch out, and, well, that failed because Toxic doesn't affect this thing. He goes for a Pain Split and gets his health back. But I forgot what the other wall was. Defensive wall. That goes well with it. But either way, I found a way to use Empoleon, and I've been loving using it. Oh, Gligar. Yeah, that's the thing. So I'm getting hurt by burn damage, but my leftovers... Burn is getting more... Burn is doing more than my leftovers. That Scald did a lot of damage. If I went for a Scald first turn instead of trying to predict... trying to be fancy and predict, then I would have... been in a better position. He gets a crit flamethrower, and now my Empoleon is not sitting pretty. It doesn't have that much health. I know he can't go for a Pain Split here, and seeing that did less damage, I still stay in, go for another Scald. I was hoping for the burn, and I get it. So I was like, yes, if I got the burn the first turn, then I would have killed this thing off. But he goes for another flamethrower. It doesn't do that much. That crit really did. It didn't matter. It mattered in a way. It didn't matter that much, but it mattered in a way. So this time I knew he was gonna switch out into something else. So here I go for another Toxic. If it failed, he still dies. If he stayed in, he still dies. If he doesn't, then I get a Toxic off of something. And that is the Clawitzer. So I was like, yes, I made a good prediction, and I can get this thing dwindled down. I can get it dwindled down. And I get more leftovers recovery, but burn does do more damage than leftovers. As you can see, I get up to 48. I was just at 37, but let's see how much burn damage actually does. And now I'm at 25, so yeah, you can see that it does way more than leftovers recovery, and he's able to just go for a water pulse and kill me off. Just because he anything on my team doesn't appreciate a water pulse, and now that Empoleon is down, he can start spamming that. Whoa, I didn't notice that the camera was down. I apologize. So I go out into my Magneton, and I can easily revenge kill this team with a Volt Switch. He doesn't have anything that wants to take a Volt Switch. Seeing from his team, he's pretty weak to electric, so I can use my Magneton effectively with the Volt Switch Volt Switch and U-turn combo that I have going on here. He goes out into a Sharpedo, and of course Sharpedo is going to protect, so I knew this was going to be the Mega. And Gallade is in BL2. It's banned from RU now, so I think it's a little too weak for UU, so I don't know, because not many people use it in UU. It can be a good Umbreon counter, but other than that, I don't see it being used in UU that much with all the threats. He goes for Ice Fang, and that's easily enough. That's able to take me out. I actually had a feeling I was gonna outspeed. I don't know why, but I thought I was gonna outspeed, even though he has a speed boost up. So he switches out here, and I go for a Volt Switch, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he just sends out his Weezing to die. I actually go for a Thunderbolt after remembering that his team was weak to electric. I didn't take a picture or anything. I just remembered off the top of my head that he had a pretty weak team. He goes on into his Boom Bursting Exploud, and I just go for a nice Thunderbolt because I am Scarfed and I have Sturdy. I know most people run Magnet Pool, but there's not that many Steel types in RU to actually pull back to try to get an HP Fire off. So I just have Sturdy, and it actually works well if there are no rocks up. He goes out into his Gallade, and I'm wondering why, because he's just getting more damage off on his whole team. And now 2 members of his team are already down at half health. I can easily go out into my Gligar here and take this Drain Punch. That did no damage. That did no damage whatsoever. But Gallade is pretty powerful. And actually, if you didn't notice, he named his Gallade the Ninja, and my name is the Ninja Gallade. So thank you for that. That's pretty nice to see that people enjoy my content. I go for Earthquake here, and Slowking comes out here, and David actually did not take that Earthquake well for being max HP, because what else could you be? Max speed? Nobody would run that. I go for a knockoff, and it actually does. It makes him go under half. He goes for a Scald here. I was just hoping for no burn, because I wanted to get the Stealth Rocks up effectively. So now I had the Stealth Rocks up before I died. And he goes for a Slack Off. I was actually doing that just as death, just as a last minute resort, so I can get late game rocks up. And it goes for Earthquake. It does not do as much, but he doesn't have the leftovers recovery, which is really good. He's able to kill my Eviolite Gligar. I think he is offensive, but here I go on into my Magneton, and I was actually expecting Volt Switch to kill, just because I don't want to stay in here, but it does not kill, so I'm drawn to believe this is especially defensive. If it's not especially defensive, it just has great natural bulk overall. He goes for a Scald again, and I do not take it as well as I thought, because I'm not sure if he's invested or not. I go for a Thunderbolt. You see, I have a few electric type moves on my team, so that he had a really bad electric weakness. He goes on into his Gallade here, and I just stay in with the Thunderbolt, because stay in with Porygon just because there's no point in trying to switch out, preserve it. He goes for a Leaf Blade here, and yeah, it's able to kill. That's base 90 move with a high crit ratio, but my Porygon Z does not have IVs in, IVs in HP, as you can see, unfortunately. So it's only at 147 HP when it could be at 161. I think that's uninvested. with IVs in it. He goes for a Leaf Blade here, and I knew it was time for me to show off my Mega Sableye. I go for a Power Up Punch, bop. Yeah, I'm able to kill from that range just because I know it can at least take that out. And even if it didn't, I can just go for I can go for a Sucker Punch the next turn. So he goes on into his Base Me Baby, the X-Cloud. And the rocks did come into play because I'm not sure if the Sucker Punch would have killed otherwise. And yeah, Sableye's able to take out 2 pokes in his debut match. Well, on YouTube, I've uploaded. So he actually goes for a crunch. I was actually expecting to live. I wanted to go for a Power Punch, but he gets a crit. I think that actually mattered. I really did. Even though I'm not invested in defense, I think it really did matter there. I'm not sure. And this is why Sharpedo, Mega Sharpedo, is not as good as regular Sharpedo. It does not have Speed Boost, period. If it had Speed Boost, he would have been able to go for Protect that turn and easily taken out my Magneton. But since he did not, and also if he had rocks on his team, that would have been, I would have lost. But also why I think Sharpedo is the worst Mega. Just because it doesn't have Speed Boost anymore, and it really needs it, and once you Mega Evolve, you lose the ability, no matter what. There's no going back, so I just say run Life Orb Sharpedo, and try to sweep teams. But that was a great game, I loved that game, actually. I finally get to show off Mega Sableye's power. I'm not running the usual defensive Calm Mind set, I'm using a Sweeper Power Up Punch set, which is actually different. I don't think I've seen anybody else do it except Fufu. I think that's the only person that did that. But other than that, thank you for watching, guys. The like goal is 7 likes. Let's see if we can hit it, and peace out.